What's up? So I realized looking at videos and stuff like that while I am providing information to you guys, I'm not doing it in a way that's really easy to search or find because it's just vlogs. So I want to start trying to separate and actually put some useful information just into video, and these are all going to go under my just a tip category, and they're going to go through a variety of things. So what I'm talking about now is what I'm mainly dealing with, and that's going to be rehab, and that's going to be ACL rehab. This seems to be something that a lot of athletes are going to have to go through, and what you're going to deal with it along those roadblocks. This is my third, but it doesn't really count as my third. I've only had two. One of them didn't take it all. I didn't even get a chance to fuck it up. So here's what I'm going through with ACL rehab, and kind of give you guys the plan of attack and what to do to maintain and get better through it. So first things first, you're fresh out of surgery, things are swollen, things are really pissed. It's gonna need some time to rest and relax. And this is where you can start doing very, very little amounts of work. Depending on the type of surgery you have, you may be weight bearing already and you may not. Neither of those things really matter because you can't do the work that way anyway, and you're probably gonna be in some type of a brace. But while you're sitting and laying, you can start doing some exercise. And the first thing that we've got to start working on is getting rid of swelling. Getting rid of swelling is going to be your number one thing. Swelling is going to be what's causing you pain. It's going to be what's causing you discomfort. And swelling is going to be what's keeping your range of motion down. And there's a lot of ways that you can start addressing swelling. Compression for me is going to be number one. That's what I did, and that's what works best for me. Number two is going to be blood flow, and doing something that supports some blood flow is going to be some heat, some type of stim. There are a lot of different units on the market, some better than others. I personally like the Power Dot, and that's what's worked best for me. And that's kind of my first plan of attack, is really try to get this swelling out of the knee. And I mean, this is the fucking day you come home from surgery until swelling's not an issue anymore. So this may be a couple weeks, but this is stuff that you can do almost all day, really while you're laying around. So the Power Dot's gonna be its own video entirely. But first things first is gonna be compression and what you can use for that. I've had a couple different options, and I'm gonna try to go over a couple things that are different for everyone's budget and what you can do. So we'll really start with the simplest thing that you can do. First thing that I did was a simple pair of compression pants. Now they're gonna send you home from surgery with some type of compression stocking on. This thing does great, I just don't find it terribly comfortable, plus your foot's all locked into it, and I just kind of fucking hate it. They're kind of gross. So what I've got is some compression pants from Skins. And now Skins are the company I use, but anything's gonna work. 2XU, probably some Under Armour stuff, Nike stuff that you can get at the store. But the pants that I specifically use are the A400 compression pants. Now they make a recovery pair, but they're a little thinner. And these really I find that they lock it down a little bit more. The only downside that I see to the A400 pants when coming to compression post-surgery is that they leave a gap where your knee is so that it's not uncomfortable when you're actually doing stuff in them, since they're not built specifically for post-surgical care. You'd want a little bit more pressure on the knee, but these are gonna work great. Now, things I would avoid from a previous experience, I'm not trying to wear a knee sleeve, like one of the slingshot sleeves. That's stuff that you can do way later on once things are kind of past a healing stage and you're out of stitches and shit like that. It just feels terrible. I know, trust me. The next step that I found really important is some Voodoo Floss. Now you can pick this up at a variety of different places, at Mobility WOD, through Kelly, and this has worked great. And I use it to actually clamp down the knee and do some quad sets, trying to engage that quad, and then pull it off. And this is just gonna start pushing some of that fluid out and putting some new fluid in. This really thick, gunky shit is gonna get built up into your knee with it trying to protect itself and heal. And that stuff is like fucking concrete, and you gotta get it out of there so that some new, fresh, healthy blood can get into the knee. For those of you who haven't used something like Voodoo Floss before, pretty simple. So you're just gonna start wrapping from the bottom, and you're gonna wrap to like whatever your comfort level is post-surgery. So you're gonna wrap over itself one time. You may have to kind of elevate your foot to get under it straight out of surgery, and then start applying pressure throughout the course of the joint. And once you get over it, just like a knee wrap or anything else, you'll tuck and put it in. And from that, you're just gonna kind of spend some time with it that way, and you can work on trying to contract the quad, keep your legs straight. Just a heads up, if you start trying to do any range of motion stuff and bending straight out of surgery, this is going to feel fucking absolutely terrible and feels like it's destroying your kneecap. So don't do that. Also, learn from experience. So once you're set up this way, you're gonna spend a couple minutes, as much as you can stand, and this is something you can do a bunch of times a day, but it's gonna compress. It should feel a little bit better while you're on the mend. Try to get some of that fluid out of there, and then you can just simply pop it off. And let some new blood return to the joint. This is a really cheap option. In one of the ways that I find best. I mean, another way you can do it is just a knee wrap. I use Mark Bell's. And then finally, those of you who've watched the videos long enough know that one of the other things I've been using is a pair of recovery boots from Rapid Reboot. And these are a type of boot that's got chambers in it that are gonna fill with air and force blood from the foot all the way through the leg and really do a very good job of reducing swelling. But this is not a cheap option. I think these, even with the code that I've got below, are gonna run you, I think about 800 bucks, maybe $900. But they're amazing, and they've really saved me. They got me through the Arnold. And these things are gonna be something you can really elevate your feet and pump and let these things do some fucking work, and they will. If you've got that type of money to invest in your recovery, these are gonna be great. Most of the physical therapists that you're going to or should be going to should have something very similar to this. You're gonna have the main unit here, which is gonna control everything. Very simple, just plugs in. And then the actual boots themselves. These are a thing that you're gonna spend 30 minutes in a couple times a day and really start getting rid of that swelling. And like I said, reducing swelling and getting range of motion back, these are your first two big ones. The other one that we're gonna address in another video is gonna be getting your quad moving. Now you can start doing that from day one, and it's gonna progress as much work as you're putting into it. That's one of the biggest issues post-surgery, and it's just from surgery and then avoiding the quad as you're walking, because, well, you're not really walking on the leg. Your gait changes, you're limping. And typically for a surgery like this, they're gonna do some type of a nerve block, and that's gonna also shut down the quad. This is something I've had issues with since, well, I got 3 of those in like 90 days. Didn't fucking help much. So I got a little bit of atrophy in the quad, but all those things are gonna come back and they're nothing worth panicking over. But the first thing I really recommend you doing is addressing that swelling. And that's really gonna be step 1 to getting through your ACL rehab. I hope that helps. There's gonna be links below to all those products. Mark Bell's wrap, mobility sleeve, skins, and Rapid Reboot. Those things are gonna be your best bet. That's what really worked for me. Now, things that didn't work for me, things I avoided. I did my entire recovery without touching ice. Everybody's got a personal preference. Now, I believe in contrast, but you're not there yet. You're fresh out of surgery. You can't really submerge the thing because you've got an open wound and some stitches. So first, I don't like ice at all. I think ice works as more of a pain reliever than it does reducing the swelling and helping healing. I rather trying to get as much compression and then recovery as I can do to start getting fresh blood in there. You're also gonna have to just do the time. I don't care that you're Wolverine and you've got special healing powers, tissue, and surgical stuff is all gonna heal at the same pace, basically, at whatever age you are. I mean, I'm not gonna heal at the same pace as like a 90-year-old, but you get the point. That tissues are still gonna have to heal. You're not some superhuman that's gonna be back from ACL surgery 100% in 2 weeks. Be smart, do the time. But this is what I did, this is my experience, and this is what has worked best for me. I think anyone watching the channel can see that I'm progressing pretty well, and I've got a lot of people in my corner helping me out with rehab, from Kelly Starrett through the physical therapist I'm seeing in New Orleans, John Guido, my chiropractor, massage therapist, and a lot of folks in my corner really trying to help me through things. Bouncing ideas off of John Wellborn of what I can do since he's had multiple knee surgeries. Having people like this are great. And these are people in my corner, and I'm trying to share with you guys all the information that I've learned through my experience with this rehab. I hope it helps you out. I hope it speeds up your recovery. Thanks, spread hate, always party, and that's just the tip.